You ever feel like modern leadership is just an impossible game? You're definitely not alone. But what if I told you that the most effective, most resilient playbook for all this chaos wasn't written in some business school, but like 2,000 years ago by a Roman emperor? So let's dive into this ancient playbook and see what it can teach us right now.
Okay, so to really get the solution, we first have to understand the problem. And the problem is that the modern leadership model is a total pressure cooker. It's this series of impossible contradictions that sets even the absolute best leaders up for failure.
I mean, think about it. The market is screaming at you to innovate constantly, be the next big thing, disrupt everything. But at the same time, your board and your team are demanding stability and predictability. Good luck with that. Then you're told to lead with empathy, to care, deeply about your people right before you have to turn around and make a really tough call that's going to impact their lives. It's a complete paradox.
And, of course, the big one. You've got to deliver those amazing quarterly results that Wall Street is screaming for, while somehow, magically, also building a sustainable company for the next decade. No pressure.
And the result of all this constant grinding pressure? A staggering 60% of CEOs say they feel lonely and isolated. So the current model isn't just difficult, it's fundamentally broken. It's an absolute recipe for burnout.
So where do we even begin to look for a better model? Well, let's take a trip back in time. We're looking for a leader who dealt with crises that went way beyond a bad quarterly report. Yeah, we're looking for a Roman emperor.
This quote comes from Marcus Aurelius, and it's really the core of the entire solution. The world outside is always going to be chaotic, right? But your greatest strength, your sanctuary, is your own inner calm. And this isn't about escaping reality. It's about mastering it from the inside out. And make no mistake, this guy was not some philosopher sitting in an ivory tower. He was in the arena. As Emperor of Rome, he was managing plagues that killed millions, constant wars on the borders, political conspiracies, you name it, he dealt with it. He applied these ideas under the most extreme pressure you can possibly imagine.
So what was his secret? Well, he ran his life and his entire empire on a simple but incredibly powerful operating system, the 4 Stoic virtues. And you should think of these not as some dusty, abstract ideals, but as a practical, hands-on toolkit for action.
And notice how these all fit together. Wisdom is about seeing things clearly without your ego getting in the way. Justice then uses that clarity to do what's right for everyone. Courage is what lets you do the right thing even when it's scary. And temperance, that's just self-control. It's the foundation that makes all the other virtues possible.
Okay, so the theory is great, but how does any of this actually work in a boardroom or a tough one-on-one meeting? Let's translate these virtues into concrete actions that you can start using today.
Let's start with wisdom. Now, this isn't about being the smartest person in the room. It's about being the clearest. It's about stripping away your own ego, your own fears, your own wishful thinking from the equation so you can make the best possible decision.
Let's be honest, your ego is the single biggest threat to making wise decisions. A Stoic leader knows this and actively fights against it. So instead of looking for people to agree with you, you ask, okay, how could I be completely wrong about this? This is exactly what Ray Dalio did at Bridgewater with his famous culture of radical transparency, where basically anyone could challenge his thinking.
Next up, we've got justice. For the Stoics, this was a huge deal. It was the most important social virtue. It's all about remembering that a business is a community. It's an ecosystem. And your job as a leader is to serve the whole thing, not just your own interests.
And this leads to a really powerful shift in your mindset. So instead of asking, what can I get from my people? A just leader asks, what do my people need to thrive? It's that empathy-first approach that Satya Nadella used to completely transform Microsoft's famously toxic culture, and in the process, he unlocked just incredible innovation and growth.
Now for courage. Look, Stoic courage is not about being fearless. Fear is totally normal. Courage is about acting despite the fear, because you know deep down that it's the right thing to do.
Every leader has that one decision they're avoiding. Firing that toxic but high-performing employee, or killing a beloved project that's just not working. Courage is doing that hard thing and doing it quickly. Steve Jobs was famous for this, killing products that were just good enough to make room for something that could be truly great.
And finally, we have temperance, or just plain old self-control. This is the virtue that kind of holds all the others together. A leader is an emotional amplifier for the entire organization. If you're out of control, you create chaos. If you're calm, you create stability. It's that simple.
The simplest way to practice this? Stop saying I and start saying we. When things go well, credit your team publicly for the wins. It's something Tim Cook does masterfully at Apple. He gets that the mission is way bigger than his own personal glory, and that kind of humility makes everyone around him better.
So when you put these 4 virtues together, wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance, what do you actually get? Well, you get something far more powerful than a unique product or a clever business strategy.
You get character. Look, your competition can copy your software, they can poach your best talent, they can undercut your pricing, but the one thing they can never, ever copy is your character. That is your only true, sustainable competitive advantage. It's your ultimate moat.
This is the fundamental shift. The modern view sees leadership as purely transactional. It's all about maximizing value, beating the other guy. But the Stoic view, it sees leadership as transformational. Your real job isn't just hitting targets, it's to build character, to act with virtue, and to serve the whole. One approach creates temporary success. The other builds an enduring legacy.
Because when it's all said and done, your legacy won't be measured by shareholder returns or your market share. It's going to be the character you built in yourself and the culture you inspired in others. So let me ask you, what will your legacy be?